I flew to Egypt for $60 and it's all because of the American Express Gold Card. My brother and I had been planning this trip to Egypt for a couple months now, so I was thinking of a way to cut costs, and I noticed the American Express Gold Card had an introductory offer of like 90,000 points or something if you spent, I think it was $6,000 within the first 6 months of having the card. So I figured, if I just put all of my monthly expenses on this card, I'll hit that 6,000 pretty quickly. Now, I'd always kind of written off Amex cards because I figured, why would you pay a couple $100 to be able to then spend more money on a credit card? Like, it didn't really make a whole ton of sense to me until I dove into the math behind it. And after 7 months with the card, I've paid $250 for the annual fee, but I've saved over $1,800 through all the available offers that I got through the card. So I'm gonna go over the details of the card, the benefits, who it's for, and then how I saved so much money on all of my flights to Egypt. Now, this is completely unsponsored. I just want to share my experience with this card because it's been such a positive one, and see if it's helpful to you as you're trying to decide whether or not you want to get the Amex Gold Card. Now, the Amex Gold Card currently comes with a yearly annual fee of $325. Now, that may change because when I signed up 7 months ago, it was $250. Now, the Gold Card usually has an introductory offer where if you spend so many dollars within X number of months, you get some lump sum of points. And this is key because those introductory offers are probably one of the best ways to earn points on these cards and really make them worth it in the first year. And some people might want to sign up for the card, get the introductory offer, and use the points to get a free flight and then cancel the card. That was actually my initial plan when I signed up for the Amex Gold Card, but now I'm actually leaning towards keeping it. I'll include a link below that'll take you to the introductory offer for the Amex Gold Card so you can see what they're currently showing. The card is pretty cool. It's this yellow gold color and it feels pretty hefty too because it's made of metal. And this is probably one of my favorite parts of the card, but it makes a really satisfying clink on the table when you throw it down to pay for the receipt. You shouldn't get it because of that, because there's a ton of other metal cards that'll do that just as well, but that's a benefit. Now, the gold card is primarily geared towards people who spend a lot of money on food or travel. Now, the way that you earn points on the Amex Gold Card is based off the dollars that you spend in certain categories. And the Amex Gold Card offers 4 times points on grocery markets, 4 times on restaurants, 3 times on flights, 2 times on hotels, and then 1 times points on everything else earned. So what that means is for every dollar that you spend at a grocery store, you get 4 points. For every dollar that you spend on something that's not a grocery store, a restaurant, a hotel, or a flight, you get 1 point. So if you're spending a lot of money on food, this card can make sense for you. The card also brings with it a number of cashback offers through different vendors. So namely, at the time of this video, they have $120 a year in Uber Cash, $120 dining credit per year, $100 a year Resi credit, and an $84 a year Dunkin' credit. Now, the Dunkin', Uber, and dining credits are all monthly cash back opportunities. So to use Uber for an example, that $120 a year credit is divvied up into $10 per month that you have to either use it or lose it. If you spend $10 in January on Uber, you get the $10 back. And in February, if you don't spend anything on Uber, you've lost that $10 for that month. Now in March, it resets and you can receive the $10 cash back again. For Resi, they give you $100 a year, but that's split up to $50 in the first half of the year and $50 in the second half of the year. So you need to be kind of on top of it if you're looking to make use of these cashback opportunities. Now these credits, you should only really consider them if you're already spending the money at Uber, the dining vendors, reservations on Resi, or at Dunkin'. Because if you have to spend more money to receive cash back, it's not really a deal because you're probably gonna be spending more money than you would have otherwise. So to summarize, Uber and dining credits are $10 a month, Dunkin' is $7 a month, and then the Resi credit is $50 for each half of the year. Now, the most powerful benefit of the Amex Gold Card is the ability to transfer the points that you earn from Amex to other companies' loyalty programs, and that's what's called using a transfer partner. And these transfer partners are exactly how I got my flights for so cheap to Egypt. Some of the other benefits that Amex offers are travel insurance, baggage insurance, trip delay insurance, car rental insurance, deals on certain hotels, and no foreign transaction fees when you use the card abroad. Now, one of the cool things that I didn't realize about the Amex card but learned after I got it was that they have these rotating Amex offers, which are basically cash back or points offers for dollars spent through certain vendors. So through these Amex offers, I've been able to find a couple for purchases that I already knew that I was going to be making, and I've saved a couple of dollars here and there. Now you might be thinking, $325 a year is kind of a lot of money just for basically a glorified credit card. But let me show you some of the math behind what it would take to break even on your $325 a year annual fee. Now, assuming you're not someone who travels or stays in hotels a lot and primarily uses the card for groceries and dining out, you'd have to spend about $670, $680 a month on food in order to break even on that yearly fee. Now I know what you might be thinking, that's a lot of money on food each month. It is. But thankfully that's not the only thing that we have to consider. So if we consider this a spectrum of utilization of the cashback credits, if you're not using any of the credits, you'd have to spend $677 a month on food in order to break even. Now, on the other hand, if you're using 100% of the cashback credits offered to you, you're actually netting $99 positive each year. And that's not even accounting for the dollars spent each month on groceries and dining out. So let's assume maybe you're in the middle and you're only using half of the cashback credits each month. That means you'd have to spend about $235 a month to break even on the card. That seems a little bit more doable, and I'm sure that most of us are spending more than that on food each month anyways. Now for me, the most helpful benefits have been the Uber credit and the Resi credit because I use those the most frequently as is. I occasionally use the dining credit, but I don't really eat at the restaurants offered very often. The no foreign transaction fees came in really handy on my trip to Egypt, and the points with transfer partners because that's what made my trip to Egypt possible in the first place. So I think even after going through all these benefits, you'll kind of start to see a trend where this card is mainly geared towards people who are spending a lot on food and travel. If you're not really living inside a city and spending the money on Uber and dining out each month, it may not make as much sense for you to pay the high annual fee. Alternatively, if you just want to get the card, throw all your monthly expenses onto it just to get the introductory offer and then cancel it, that could make a lot of sense and you'll probably come out on top of that annual fee. Now I want to walk you through how I earned all the credits that I did in the first 7 months of owning this card and how it saved me over $1,800. And I hope you appreciate this because I went through all of my previous month statements to get these numbers for you. So first, in terms of cash back and points, I first got the introductory offer, which for me, when I signed up, was 90,000 points. Then through spending, I accrued another about 30,000 points. Through Amex offers, I've received about $130 in cash back. Then I've redeemed 1 Resi credit since they started it. I've gotten $60 in Uber cash and $30 in the dining credit. I spent 40,000 points and about $60 for my flight from Newark to Cairo. Currently, I found a comparable flight for about $582. Then for my return from Cairo, I spent 85,000 points and about $146 for business class in the first leg and economy in the second leg. Now for each of those legs, for the business flight, it would be about $580. Next, let's look up London Heathrow to Newark in economy. So in total, if I would have bought all of these flights individually, they would have come out to $1,755. But I only spent $202. That means we saved a whopping $1,552.50 by using points on these flights. Now, the grand finale, let's look at the math to see how much we've saved in the first 7 months of owning this card. Through the rotating Amex offers that you can add to your card, I've earned $130 in cash back. I've utilized 1 Resi credit, well, $50. I've used $60 in Uber cash, $30 through the dining credits, and then through the plane tickets and the math that we saw earlier, we saved $1,552, which brings us to a grand total of $1,822 saved over the course of this entire card, which means that if you take out the initial fee that I paid for the card of $250, we are coming out way on top for our first year. And I'm planning on keeping this card beyond my first year, so you can expect that the years after this are definitely going to be a lower return on your annual fee. But I think this shows that for anyone who is about to sign up and use the introductory offer and use it well and get the points and then spend them on a flight, this card is probably going to be worth it. So all that being said, should you get the Amex Gold Card? In my opinion, I think if you're spending a bunch on food and restaurants and you travel a little bit and you want to make use of the introductory offer, you definitely should. at least for a year. So my goal coming into it was to just get the card for a year and then cancel. And that probably makes sense, I think, for most people, as long as you work through all the points and conversions and do your math. Beyond a year, it's gonna be up on a more of a case-by-case basis. It probably makes sense if you're in a city, but if you're not living in a city or not spending much on food, you're not really making use of the cash back offers, it's probably not gonna make as much sense to you. I'm planning on keeping it. My girlfriend now has one. And if you want one, feel free to click the link below to sign up and see what their current offers are. See you guys.